Okay, hello and welcome along to our Staying Well While Staying Home series, collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. So very welcome along, delighted to be here for the session today. As ever, have a nice clear space. We have our weight ready. If you don't have weight, we always say just have our tins, bottles. And if you find some of the exercises too easy, do think about over time about having access to maybe something slightly heavier, more challenging. Even simple things like filling a big jug of milk, for example, one of the plastic bottles. These little things that we can do if you find there isn't sufficient challenge with the weight you're currently using. So I'm going to get us into the workout. We're going to start off by warming up and then we'll move into our main circuit where we'll have our strength work using our weight. So just going to fix the angles one last time. Should be perfect there, okay? And any questions, any issues along the way, do just let me know in the comments. I'm just checking in there. Yeah, perfect. Thanks to the admin there. I think it's Paul. Good to see we're all working there. Okay, so let's begin. Let's get started with the workout by warming up. So I'm just going to start off very simple to begin, just by bringing the shoulders slowly back. Okay, just going to touch in here. We'll just go for a nice dynamic warm up, but I'll just start off very simple with the shoulders to begin. Change direction and we'll go forward in circles. Okay, so I'm just going to take it into a march. What we want is always just to get warm that body up, bring that heart rate up, loosen everything out, and just prepare for some of the main challenges ahead. Okay, next action. Hands up, take a step and press, and then the opposite side. So we're just stepping side to side and pressing straight in front with the arms. As I'll always say with warm-ups, the main thing is you're active, you're moving. Don't worry about being too perfect in terms of technical or making anything too complicated. The main thing is you're moving, you're active, and you're warming up as you begin. And relax the arms, just returning back to a march, keeping myself moving here. Okay, I'm going to pause my movement again, and I'm just going to reach across side to side. Just stretch across. Just think about opening up through the shoulders here as you reach side to side. And return, okay? Next, just going to go for bum kicks. Curl the leg back, heel towards bum. Okay, for any of these movements, if you needed that little bit of chair support for a balance, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so next movement, I'm just going to pause for this one. Bring the arms out, twist the hands, and just pull back. So I'm just going to go for a rowing motion, just with a view to switching on, connecting with my back. Reach, twist, pull back. So you can see as I bring those arms or elbows back, just getting a nice squeeze, a nice feeling, connection in the back of the body here. Okay, just return Just curling the legs back. We'll just take one or two final actions in our warm up here. Just ensuring we are sufficiently prepared and ready to be able to work harder then in the main block of work. Just curling the legs back. Okay, I'm just going to pause the movement. I'm going to bring the hands up. What I'll do is just a little swivel towards the left and press, and then over to the right. So I don't need a full rotation here, just rather a nice, just a controlled swivel side to side, or as far as comfortable rather. Should just say before we start, any issues with the stream, it can happen, internet can let us down. Any issues, I will start a new stream. So if this touch wood, it won't happen to cut out, I will just begin a new stream on our channel. And down. Okay, so let's get into the main workout. Have your chair, even though all of the work will be led standing, there is always little things, whether maybe the knees hurt on a squat. So you know always there's a seated option, just adapt the movement as needed, but I'll kind of lead everything in standing and with weight for a lot of the movements. So first movements today, just looking at my list here, we're going to put the clock on rather. Okay, and the first movement I want to do is to take hold of our two weights. I'm going to show you this from the side. We're going to go for a squat with weight. Might just keep the chair there on the first set, just to ensure that you're comfortable with the movement and the action. So, what I want you to do is take your weight. Any issues with the squat, you don't like this movement, we'll go for leg pulses. That's one I'll often just do as a quick, simple, easy adaptation. However, if the movement feels good, take your weight. Soften the knees, chest out. I'm going to squat down, keeping my back straight. As soon as I tip that chair, straight up. Ways we can change this. You can do this, of course, without your weight. You can sit fully into the chair, as I'll demonstrate here, if you feel that's needed. Or, as I lead with, just a squat. Might just tip the chair, and then I'm straight back up. Again, maybe that chair isn't even needed behind. I'm just going to leave it there for the first round, just to give you that idea, just to ensure that you are keeping a nice straight back, for example. Feet flat to the floor, I'm pressing up through the legs. I breathe out or exhale as I stand, and I inhale and refuel as I lower. Again, something we want to work every single session is our leg strength. So we'll always work variations or a squat in and just general leg movements. And rest. The next action, rowing, building up on last week. Any issue with this action, I will always suggest you can perform this seated, lean forward and just mirror the position I lead with in standing. However, standing, how are you going to do this? Take your two weights, soften the knees so I'm not too tight and rigid, push the hips backwards, back, 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 back. My body is straight, weights are down. The action is to pull the weight up, low into your stomach, and back down. Up, take a little pause, slowly back down. So the knees soft, the hips have pushed back, and my upper body is straight, so I'm not bending into position. Last week we did this one side at a time while holding the chair. We're just building up, working the two weights together now. Lifting two sides at once. Breathing, exhale as you bring the weight up. Inhale as the weight returns back down. Like I mentioned last week, think about your elbows tucking into your back pockets. So I'm not pulling the weight high up towards chest. I'm going to aim for a low position, trying to get a nice squeeze and connection in the back of my body. Pause in the top position, slowly down, and reset, okay? Next action, as we did last week, I'm going to take a walk up and down with the weight, the setup I lead with, holding the weights just above shoulder height, maybe just an inch off the shoulders. If that's uncomfortable, weight down by your side. Let's begin in 3, 2, 1. If you don't have suitable space, march on the spot or in your seated position if you prefer. You can hold the weight by your side. You can perform this action without weight. Why am I choosing this version? My core is going to work a little bit harder. A little bit of endurance through the shoulders. Maybe if you have difficulty with like pressing overhead, for example, it's a nice way to build up slowly a little bit of power or a little bit of strength and endurance through the shoulders. But always adapt, choose the level that feels best for you. Okay, pause in the position, take a couple of seconds, take a drink of water. I'm always explaining, introducing the next movement, but it goes without saying in between, always take a breather, always take a rest, take a sip of water as required. But I will begin setting up the next one. Hold our 2 weights, nice upright position, and I'm going to lift the weight out to about shoulder height, slowly back down. So we follow up where the shoulder was active, just in a static position. Now we're really working it through movement, the action of raising out to the side. Breathing important. Exhale on the way up. Inhale, refuel as the weight lowers down. If you have any difficulty with this action, one arm at a time, or in a seated position. Again, I want to keep as much control as I can. I'll try not to swing the weight up and down. Just nice and controlled. Last couple of seconds. And back down. Rest the weight down. Okay, we're going to work on the back of the lower legs. We're going to have 2 movements or 2 actions here. The first one, I want to set up just behind my chair in a nice straight upright position. Very simple, straightforward, heel raises. We'll often do this with weight, but there's a follow-up movement here, so I'm not going to push this one beyond just body weight today, because we're going to work another movement afterwards, which will again just continue to hit the calf. So plenty in this today. We do think about keeping the body straight. By that I mean I'm not swaying forward and back. I want to keep everything straight. As much tension, connection through the back of the lower legs as I can. Right up onto your toes. Return heels flat to floor. Okay, so there's a bit of control every time. Up on those toes, heels return back to floor. Getting a nice connection feeling back of the lower legs. Maybe it doesn't start very hard, starts to get more difficult as we go. Last couple of times. Once more, if comfortable. And down. Okay, just shake the legs out. Next, what you're going to do is we're going to break this down. Think of it like an ankle pump. Be a simple way to think of this one. What I want you to do is start with one foot elevated, so my right heel is up, and then I want to alternate. So now my left heel up, and just continue in that cycle, alternate, rather than just lift down, lift down. Keep it as a continuous alternate, if that makes sense. And we should feel that back of the lower legs, particularly just after the work we've done. And you'll see how I try and keep this in sync, one up, one down, rather than breaking it down too slowly. Just keeping this one flowing. One heel up, one heel down. I think like an ankle march on the spot. Just going to hit those calves a little bit harder. One movement after the other, similar to what we did with the shoulders. One movement followed by another. Just little changes, little adaptations, extra. And rest, okay? You might need to just shake the legs out, maybe feel a little bit tired back of those lower legs. It's kind of what we expect. Shake the legs out. Grab your two weights. And one we've worked a little bit. Just an extra challenge for the arms. I'm going to take your two weights. Elbows by side. Curl. 90-degree position. I want to hold. And then I just want to move through the right arm up and down, keeping the left arm fixed in position. So I'm just holding 90 degrees on the left, and I'm just moving through the right. So you'll see how the left arm just stays in exactly the halfway position, while the right side moves up and down, up and down. So one arm holds static in position, and the other arm moves up and down. Again, this is just a little bit of extra challenge. We are a bit confined in terms of these. If we were in a gym, for example, we could pick heavier weights with an arm curl over time. We are a little bit more limited at home, and that's why we'll just try adaptations like this, just to try and find a little bit of extra challenge in certain movements that we're maybe very familiar with. One more time, and back down, okay? Drop the weight down, take a couple of seconds. Round one is finished. So to set my clock back on track. Okay, round one finished. Ask yourself how that is. Am I okay with everything? Just clear that. Does everything feel okay? Am I okay to continue on? If you're very breathless, pumping sweat, in pain with anything, we gotta back off, slow it down, make any changes. Change something if it doesn't feel, even if it doesn't even feel painful, if it just doesn't feel right as a movement, do please change it. But let's go again. Let's keep the momentum going, and we'll go into round two. And I always say by round two and round three, we should have a better flow and a better sense. We know if anything didn't feel right, we're going to change it this second time. Okay. Use your chair if needed. Maybe you don't need the chair. And let's begin in 3, 2, 1. So I have the weight. Sorry, I rushed in a bit there. Take your two weights. Soften the knees, chest up. In 3, 2, 1, just going to squat down and then straight back up. Now, if I feel that I'm bending my back, I'm not comfortable doing this movement, I will use that chair to guide me. And I'll just lightly tap the chair with my bum and then straight back up. So my back is staying straight, chest is out. I can, of course, get rid of the weight if I don't need that extra challenge, or I can sit fully into the chair if I want. But again, I'm just showing you now in this second round. Maybe you don't need the chair behind. Maybe you're very comfortable working in a bit more depth and range, and that's fine. You want to allow progression where it's appropriate. Again, I'm taking air in as I lower. I'm breathing out as I come into that upright position. My hips moving down and back, but back staying straight all the time. Once more, if comfortable, and down, okay? Couple of seconds, we'll set up for the row next. Any issues with that last time, take your seated position. Lean forward, mimic the same action. Again, standing, knees soft, hips push back, directly back. Upper body is straight, and I begin. Pull the weight up, lowering the tummy, back down. Weight up, back down. A little bit of control now. Can I pause as I bring that weight into my tummy? And slowly down. Okay, so I want to think of at least 1, 2, and the same on the way down. So you can put a little bit of action, a little bit of power as you pull that weight up, but I want a little 1, 2 pause at the top. And then think at least 1, 2 back down. So a bit of control. Elbows stay narrow rather than flaring out. Again, think tucking those elbows into your back pocket. Exhale as you bring the weight up. Inhale as you lower. Once more, if comfortable. And down. Okay? Couple of seconds, take your break. Rest the weight down always if needed. Next action, our walk, where I'll have the weight about 1 inch above shoulders, down by my sides if that doesn't feel suitable. Beginning in 3, 2, 1, marching on the spot. If you don't have sufficient space, okay? Could be in a tighter room, absolutely fine. Just to march out on the spot instead. Again, I'm going to work a bit harder to control that core. And just that shoulders engaged, bearing the weight. So we progress this from simply holding the weight by our side into a more challenging variation. Okay, and pause again, step the weight down if you need. Couple of seconds, and we're going to work into the side raise next. So again, now we build into movement through the shoulder. So when ready, take your weight, nice upright position. It's going to stand away from the chair, and then 3, 2, 1, I begin the action. I raise the weight out, slowly lower back down. Simple change, you can work one arm at a time if difficult. We bring the weight no further than shoulder height. Again, everyone a little bit different, even if it's not perfect alignment with shoulder, that's fine. Just as high as comfortable. Once no further than about that shoulder line. Exhale, bringing the weight up. Inhale as we lower the weight down. Again, I don't mind a pause in the top position. This is the most tense or the hardest part. We'll try not to rest for long at the bottom. So I don't want to spend long in this bottom position. I'd rather take a pause up at the top. So we're kind of getting as much from the weight that we have. Little pause at the top, slowly back down. Check in, last time. And slowly down. Okay, what do we have next? Heels. So again, we know we have 2 actions which will work back at lower leg, the calf. Again, if it feels too easy, I don't mind adding weight, but I feel body weight should be sufficient. You can hold the back of your chair, nice straight position. I'll always say not to stand too far back for an angle. I like to just tighten it up a bit. Elevate the heels. Right up onto your toes. And then return heels to floor. Again, I want to think back of the lower legs. Just a good time to check in as you keep everything straight. all the work through back and lower legs. Always check level is right. Slowing it down, taking an easier variation like seated position instead of standing. If you have any issue that it feels a little bit too hard, or simply just slow the pace down, but you can make changes, take weight out of the movement, take seated position if needed. So just so you're not completely breathless. One more time. And down. Maybe just shake the legs out. And we're going to go for that alternate action now with one up, one down. And then a nice fluid movement. We try not to slow this one down too much. So, holding back at the chair, I'll start with my right heel up. As I lower it down, left heel up. And switch. So, again, I just want to keep this as a fluid up, down. Not really pausing at any point unless necessary. One heel up, one heel down. And just keep it moving. And again, you're just trying to keep this in sync as opposed to, as I show here, where I just kind of slowly lift one at a time. I want to keep it up, down in a nice sync, in a nice flowing action. Getting a little bit of tension through back of the lower legs here. Any point you need, take a little pause, that's fine. A little bit tougher this second time. Knees are nice and soft to facilitate this, so I don't want to be too tight or rigid in the position. Knees are soft. We're remembering here. And down, okay? Maybe just shake the legs out, sip of water if you need, and we're going to grab our two weights again. So working our arm curl variation, grasp the weight, palms forward, elbows in, bring the weight to 90 degrees, and just move through the right first. So my right arm curls up and down, weight towards shoulder, slowly back down. So you're just holding on the left, moving through the right. As I say, just variety, variation. We want to make sure we're trying to get as much challenge from the movements as we can. So just trying out different variations, different challenges. Pause on the right, now move to the left. So you're holding 90-degree position on the right. Maybe that right's a little bit tired now. And you're just curling up and down through the left. Exhale as I bring the weight up. Inhale as a return. Last couple of times. So we'll always say over time, if the weight movements just feel too easy, too light, do think about maybe access to slightly heavier weight if possible. But as I say, we will try and explore different options to make sure we try and get extra challenge from them. And rest. Okay, drop the weight down. Take a couple of seconds, catch your breath. I'm going to go into 1/3 final round. I always say, work at your own pace. No pressure at all with any of these movements. Just take note. Was there anything there that was really hard that you don't like? Change it if that's the case. Maybe no weight in your squat. Maybe you don't like that arm curl version. Maybe you just want to go to regular. Make those swaps. Make it work best for you. If everything feels okay, we just go with exactly the same routine for 1/3 and final round. So let's just set the clock up one last time, and then we'll begin again. Again, use your chair here if you want. If you feel comfortable without the chair, just do it purely as a squat here without that chair support. Okay, so let's get that on. Take your two weights. Maybe you're doing it without weight. Let's just get rid of that out of the way. Knees soft, chest out. 3, 2, 1. Just want to squat down. Straight back up. Again, if you feel you want that chair behind that you can just lightly tap, absolutely fine. No pressure to do it without. I'll add a challenge of a little bit of weight. Maybe you want to do the action without weight. Absolutely fine. And even within using the chair, maybe you need a full sit and rest into that chair. Absolutely making all these switches as needed. My feet flat to the floor. My hips moving down and back. And then coming forward as I stand. My back staying straight so I'm not bending. Inhaling as I lower. Breathing out, exhale as I stand tall. And rest. Our weighted row next again. Take the seated option. If you feel your bending position doesn't feel good, take the seated position, lean, and just follow the same pattern of movement. Standing. I'm just going to bring my position a little bit narrower. Knees soft, hips push backwards. And that draws the body forward and straight. Pull the weight up into tummy, lower back down. Again, we're thinking about control. That little 1, 2 at the top. And then control on the way down as well. Back stays straight. Your knees stay soft, your hips have pushed back. If you feel you're bending that back, reset the position. Stand up, reset the position. Soften the knees, push the hips back. Upper body stays straight as it's drawn into the position. Again, rotating elbows, chucking into those back pockets. Little pause in the top position. Slowly back down. I breathe out as I lift the weight up. And inhale as I lower to return position. And back down. Okay? Going to move into our weighted walk. Again, just one we've built up in the last week or two. You can, of course, hold the weight by your side. What we lead with is just above the shoulder, not up overhead, just about an inch off the shoulder position. 3, 2, 1, walking or marching on the spot if you don't have space for this one. Just want to keep the position strong, not arching or bending through the back. Core is strong, shoulders switched on, bearing the weight. Of course, you can perform this marching on the spot. You can take up a seated position. You can alternate or alter the position of the weights. Again, there's always lots of choice and scope to change any aspect. And rest. We'll lower the weight down. We'll go into movement next where we raise the weight. Take a couple of seconds, you drink. Just letting the weight out of the hands for a couple of seconds if you need. We're going to go nice and upright, grasp the weight, and in 3, 2, 1, we'll begin. Raise the weight out, about shoulder height, slowly return. Again, I'm not going to stay for long in the bottom position. I'm going to try and get a little pause at the top, so where it's hardest to hold. If you're running out of power, this is difficult, you might try one arm at a time. And just alternate. Again, breathing out as I lift or raise up, breathing in as I return. Again, roughly shoulder height. It doesn't have to be perfect shoulder alignment, but just roughly into that position. Last couple of times. That's comfortable to do, and again, you can always just alternate if needed. Once more, if comfortable, and back down. Okay, let the weight down. Going to work on the heels next. I'm just going to grab my chair back. Okay, back to those lower legs. Again, remember, if you're finding this one too easy, I don't mind you bringing the weight in. But as I say, I feel there's enough just through body weight with the double action here. So, hold the back of the chair, nice and upright, heels up. Right up onto the toes. Again, it's just very direct movement up onto your toes, heels return flat to floor. Up, down, up, down. But again, you can get a little pause in the top position, think like 1, 2, and then back down. Thinking back of the lower legs. And again, what maybe starts quite simple as a movement, maybe by this third round, feeling a little bit tougher. Okay, last couple of times. Go once more if comfortable. And down. We'll just shake the legs out in between. Okay, we're going to go for then that alternate action now. I might even just zoom a little bit closer there now, so we can see it on the camera. Okay, so what I want you to do is start with your right heel up off the floor. As that lowers, lifting the opposite side. And just continue to alternate knees nice and soft to allow that action. One heel up, one heel down. Alternate nice sync between the motion. So the toes are always in contact with the floor. One heel up, lifting while the other lowers. And there's a nice flow to this one. Again, I think back of those lower legs. We always want to look at trying to strengthen up our legs and give a good challenge to the legs wherever we can. Like we're doing with the shoulders, just following up two parts, working two areas back to back, pretty much here. So we'll continue on. Breathe at any point you need, take a little break, reset position, or continuing on if that feels okay. Last couple of seconds. Hardest the last round. And back down, okay? Shaking the legs out. And then go ahead and grab your weight when ready. Again, we remember the setup here. We take our weight, the palms forward, elbows just lightly to my side or even just slightly in front. Hold 90 degrees, so halfway between a full curl and fully down, so halfway. And then move to the right. So just curling the right arm up and down. Straight line towards shoulder, stretch back down. You're just holding static on the left, moving through the right. So elbow in a fixed position and just curling up and down towards that shoulder whilst holding on the left. Pause. Now move to the left. So now the motion is on the left and the hold on the right. Nice straight line up and down towards shoulder. And of course, any difficulty, if you needed to rest the arm down, for example, that's fine. Or if you just prefer working the two together, it's just a little adaptation, a little extra challenge if you want. Last couple of times, moving to the left. And once more. and back down, okay? Rest your weight down. Take it out. Let the weights down. Catch your breath, okay? What I want to do is just start off relaxing out from that, okay? So just start off, maybe rest against the back of the chair. Just take a little bit of pressure off the upper body. And just start stretching the legs back, lightly tapping your toes into the floor. And just stretch back from the hip, okay? As you just catch your breath, we'll just talk us through. We had 3 rounds of our circuit there. We worked our legs as we always want to. We worked so the quad or the thighs. We worked our calf particularly hard today. We worked our shoulder, both in a static with our hold, but also as we raised the weights out. And we also just had a different arm variation today. So again, a movement pattern we're probably very familiar with, but a different challenge in there today. And again, just been changing the format a little bit last couple of sessions. And again, we'll just tighten up everything with the times and that as we go along. And I'll maybe just slowly keep adding little progressions and challenges as much as we can. So, next one. Just going to take it into a slow knee lift per side. Big lift to the knee per side, just as we gradually ease off here. And again, you can always just let me know if it's too hard, too easy, if it's kind of right. But always, we want to kind of push towards the harder side than being on the easier side. And I can always add length onto our times, or just try and pick harder movements if necessary. But equally, if you feel you need more adaptations from me, again, just to let me know. Okay, from that position, just lightly curl the legs back. And we're just going to take in a couple of minutes just to ease out from the harder block of work. Related to some of the areas we worked on. Change direction, nice slow controlled circles. Okay, we'll swap left foot out, slowly around in circles. Nice and controlled, slowly around. Back the opposite way. Okay, just going to take a stretch of the calf, back of that lower leg. You can perform this really nicely against the wall, but I'm just going to use my chair to give the simplest view of the movement. I want to stretch my right leg back so it's straight, heel flat to the floor. From that position, I want to lightly push my body forward towards the chair as I keep that heel pressed in. So the heel might want to lift, but I want you to keep it pressed into the floor as you lean or push the body forward. Trying to feel a stretch down through the back of that lower leg, which we worked on in the session today. And then just reset. Now your left leg goes back, heel into the floor, nice straight leg. Gently push forward, keeping that back leg straight, keeping your heel flat into the floor. Okay, reset. Again, just bring that right leg back, heel into the floor. Nice straight leg, and just push the body forward in towards that chair. So the front leg is soft. And I'm just leaning forward, but keeping that heel in contact with the ground. And I'm feeling a nice stretch through the back of that lower leg. And I'll swap once. Reset. Once more per side. Right leg back. Grab foot if comfortable. Gently pull back. Stretching out the front of that leg. And if you're not comfortable, not worried about the foothold, but just simply to follow, gently pulling the leg back and getting a nice stretch through the front of my leg. and down. Okay. One, just to ensure that you're in the seated position. Very simple. Rest hands on legs. Inhale, just think there. This can be tweaks, changes to the session, just trying to gradually increase it. So we will try and slow it off again soon.